So hello everyone again, and welcome back to the NextTS rule course. We are in the class 18 today, and all the course, it is only 20 classes in a row, and we are almost finishing. Today is our last class, basically coding. In the next classes, we are basically going to work more in the deployment side of things and the DevOps side of things. And just remember that this video is sponsored by Xscene. If you want to know more about Xscene, just grab the link down below here in the description. And now today in the last class, we have been working on the API on NextJS. And one of the things, I usually can't find the name of NextJS because the course is NextTS, but NextTS framework doesn't exist. It's just NextJS. But anyways, nevertheless, we have been working on the API those last classes. And just remember, just to recap here, NextJS has the capability of automatically identifying where you put your APIs. It is inside the pages directory, and basically if you everything that you put inside the pages-API directory will be treated as an API automatically. So NextJS does this parsing automatically for you. You don't need to work with that thing. So you can have your API in the same project that you have your front end, your UI. It's because one of the things that is good to remember is that it is not because NextJS you can create both the front end and the back end with NextJS that you need to create a big monolithic with this, because the intention of NextJS is to run this as a microservices, so you can use many different microservices that compound a big services. But that's the logic behind all the things. I'm not saying that you cannot use this to create a big monolithic, but what the community recommends it is for doing microservices. But anyway, today we are going to work in our last API, which will be the update customer API. Which is only one of the things that are left. And so if we move here to our VS Code, the only thing that we need to do it is under the directory pages-API-customers curly square brackets ID, just put a new file that will be named update.ts, and this is where we are going to have our API. And basically I will already run the project here just to make sure that we will not waste time when we run this again. So in update here, the first thing that we are going to do, we are just going to check a little bit in the delete method. Will be basically the same handler. All the HTTP request handlers will be the same. Just the thing that will be inside the scope of the function that will be different depending what you are currently doing. So remember that the first thing that we need to import every time it is this guy here. I will import all the three guys that we need because we don't want to waste time in importing dependencies. So we are going to import request and response from Express, the customer model, which will be, it is the model from MongoDB for interacting with that, the ConnectDB, which is the middleware that we created in the last class, in one of the last class when we started working the databases. So we are going to create our handler, which is always an async function because it's an HTTP method, and in JavaScript works behind all those scenes work with promises, which are asynchronous. That's why we put async. And then update will be the name of this, and the guy will be request. It will receive a request, and the rest, which is response. And then finally, this will always, and we know will return a promise. So it will be a promise response. So now we can start doing our request body, our handler body. And just one thing that we need to bear in mind, it is, let's put the try catch that we always do in other handlers basically. So it will be catch, and here error, We do this because if something goes wrong with the query in the database or something like this, we just want to send an error message back to the user in the front end. Just remember that I don't know if I told you guys this, but if you are on Mac, you can use Option Shift F for formatting automatically your code on VS Code, or Control Shift F on Windows if you're using Windows. And the first thing that we need to do here, it will be, let's do the catch first. So if something goes wrong, we already know what to do. We just do a res. We send a status of 500 HTTP code, which is the code for server-side error. Something went wrong, but we don't want the user to also know. So we just send a plain message and the error message. The ideal here will be treat all these error messages in a big or a real project, but for the sake of learning, we are just doing this now. And then will be rec method equals put. We need to know that the guy is requesting a put method and not a get or not a post or something like this. Otherwise, if it is not a put method, we will send an error to the user with a code 422 HTTP, which stands for rec method not support, requisition request method not support. And then here I'm going to create first a constant which will represent the guy's last name, telephone, which will represent the user that we want, the customer that we want to edit that came from the request body, credit card, and here will be rec.body. Okay, everything's good here. And then we let's do our edit else clause. If the request is not a put, we basically return a res status 422. And we are going to send this guy here, basically request method not support, which stands for this HTTP code. And then we are going to get the const. Remember that when for the handler that we created for a single user, we basically needed to get the ID from the URL, because for sending a put request, we basically are going to do this. For the case in localhost, it will be localhost 3000 dash API dash customers dash the ID of the user dash update. And we need to get this ID first to identify which customer we want to update, and then grab this customer from the database and then effectively finally update this guy. So, okay, I will just copy and paste. You can also copy paste from the index, from the handler that is responsible for querying a single user, and just get back here. Just remember that this step here is also used by delete, because we want to know the ID of the customer that we want to delete. Otherwise, we don't have anyone to delete. And now I will just copy and paste the code here, but I will explain each of the lines. And it will be basically only this. It will be, I will do an await, and I will use my customer model and invoke the method called find by ID and update. And this will basically, it will basically query one user. You just need to pass the ID of the user that we want to find, and then if this user, if it is successfully found, you just pass the parameters to update this guy here. So everything's good to go. One thing that we need to do here is for default ConnectDB, our update. Okay, everything's good to go here. And then I just want to know, oh, sorry, it is response here. Okay, everything's good here. We can go directly to our code. So I will go here to localhost 3000 to access our application. This might take a little bit, but we can go right to the code. And okay, we just have one record here, but the important thing is that we just want to test our update API. So we need to go to and click on my user, and then we go to edit, and here we will see that we have all the information already because we are updating the user. And I will just take out the last name of my user and click edit. And now everything worked fine. We can see that our API worked. So let's do it again, just for the sake of capturing the network status. So we are going here to edit. I will go to the network tab under the inspection tab of our browser, and we'll clear everything, and we'll put just Rogers. That's the last name. And then I will put edit just to check the request. And we can see that we sent an update in this guy here, localhost 3000-API-customers. The ID of my user, just remember that this ID is it is a unique identifier from the database, so you don't need to define this. It's defined by MongoDB. Only if we are using the mock, which will intercept our HTTP requests, and the mock is basically generating random IDs, so we don't need to work and to modify all those things. And then dash update. We can see here on the preview, we can see that we sent the request payload, and then the response was okay. We have uploaded successfully. If we reload the page, everything will be fine too. We can see that we have already updated our customers, so we have finalized our API. So we are good to go. We basically finalized creating all the APIs. Just remember that we have two methods of sending HTTP requests. The first one will be effectively just sending to our APIs that are defined by NextJS, and NextJS identifies everything that is inside the folder API. So, or we can use the mock. Just remember that the mock and the interceptors are basically when you don't have the APIs in the backend ready yet, we can use mock and interceptors to kind of mimic and copy the behavior of the backend, so you don't need to have the backend ready. This, as I said in the class that we were working with the interceptor, it is a good practice and a common practice under the software development field. Because it is not everything is not perfect, the words are not perfect, so you will never have the front end and the back end sync at the same time, work like they working together at the same time, because they have different tasks, different features, and most of the time the front end will use interceptors until the back end doesn't have don't have the APIs ready. So everything's good to go here. We finalized our class. And we can go here to our repo where is all the code base. If this is your first class, if it is your first video seeing this course, just remember that all the code base for this course is stored in the GitHub repo, and the link for the GitHub repo, it is under the description here down below. You can check this anytime you want. And in the next class, we are going to the class 19, which will be deploying to Vercel. The Vercel is basically the creator of NextJS, and it is also a cloud platform where you can deploy this as a serverless model. So basically, you can deploy your application, and you can also do a lot of things like doing a CI/CD pipeline, attaching DNS to your application. So that's what we are going to do in the next classes. So just remember that the coding part of the course ended, but this now it is the most important part, which is effectively deploying our application. And you can even put on your portfolio this application and run in the cloud, because this is free. Vercel is free, like the database that you have will be free. So you can put on your resume or something like this. So thanks a lot. It was a pleasure to teach you guys and always learning with you guys. Just remember that this video is sponsored by NextTS, the most amazing company for finding remote jobs around the world. And thanks a lot, and see you guys in the next class, which is almost the last class of the course.